Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in for the latest installment of my video blog for polyphonic.org. This is going to be a slightly longer video because quite a lot has happened since the last one. I'm recording tonight from my home because the drumline likes to practice near the library at this hour and it can get a little loud. The video might also not be aligning nicely because of the lighting. I really should get some better equipment, so please bear with me. Our first concerts of the year with the Illinois Wind Symphony and the Illinois Wind Orchestra happened, and they were quite a success. Last time I talked about the concerts, we were still having to organize audio-visual logistics and how to pair a soprano with a full wind ensemble. In the end, she used a projection mic to assist her sound, but it was placed at her feet so it didn't get too much in her way or make her sound unnatural. It's a technique I didn't know about, and it was pretty cool to watch. We also had a screen on stage projecting surtitles, and later we used a screen to project a video accompaniment for Mason Bates's Mothership. This piece, along with the last movement of Steve Taylor's Shattering Suns, was selected in conjunction with a symposium called Writing Another Future, Science Fiction, the Arts, and Humanities, which encompassed a number of concerts and lectures on campus that week discussing science fiction and the many ways it relates to our lives now. The video was created by one of our alumni, Michael West, and it was really spectacular. In order to amplify the effect of the video, we dimmed the hall to almost pitch black, and the musicians used stand lights, which gave the hall kind of a sci-fi feel. Here's a clip from a rehearsal. It's not the best quality, but hopefully it gives a good idea of the final product. So as you can see, that was all quite a bit of fun. The downside is that preparations for it were actually pretty stressful. This all leads a bit into a situation some of you may have heard about happening here within the University of Illinois Band. I'm not going to talk about the exact situation, but if you're curious, you can look it up and read about it online. Instead, I want to tell you a little about one of the lessons I was learning from it as it unfolded alongside this first concert. As I mentioned a few videos ago, one of the pieces we prepared for this concert was in a bit of a state because the printed parts and scores were a mix of two editions, and there was no way for the composer to recreate new parts because his computer had crashed and he'd lost everything. Well, in the end, the library ended up checking over the parts note by note against the score because it was finally the only way to settle all matters. The composer and I then had a meeting, and we went over the mistakes one by one. Then my staff and I later corrected the music. Typically, I would have felt much more negatively about this process because I think music should arrive in the library in a workable condition. There is already so much which needs to be done in preparation when a piece enters the library, and librarians have little to no time to be editors or publishers. However, this particular composer has always been unparalleled in his kindness, his genuine and humble attitude, and his unrelenting honesty and willingness to collaborate. He was endlessly grateful and complimentary to all of us, and we found it impossible to be angry. At the same time, I myself was bombarding members of production at our Performing Arts Center with questions, trying to determine the sizes of available screens, stage placement and projection, and audio equipment specs, scheduling availability of this equipment for rehearsals and performance, and then communicating this all to my department for adjustments and approvals. Everyone in production at the Career Arts Center is incredibly busy, so I felt very guilty to be taking up their time by more or less accosting them as they walked down the hallway to their next appointment, just trying to get answers. Every now and then, email is too slow. But anytime I apologized to them, they would tell me not to worry and that it was no big deal. I wanted to believe them, but maybe, like the composer I was working with, I also had a lot of goodwill in my favor, built up by, who knows, cookies probably, or maybe just saying thank you a lot. Goodwill is kind of an important thing, I think. We're all going to make mistakes or need favors at some point or other, and people having intricate and complex lives and opinions of their own do always have the right to refuse. I felt like I was annoying everyone, but they also always could have told me that what I was asking for was impossible or unreasonable. Instead, people were willing to give their support to work with us and to help make our concerts a success. I think if we can consider other people's lives and industry within our own work, and genuinely acknowledge them when they assist us in any way, it can open doors to valuable, meaningful relationships and creation. Unfortunately, this experience has a sad ending, as I stressed over all this to the point that I wasn't taking care of myself or my relationships with the people around me that weren't involved in the concerts. That also doesn't make the best of impressions, and it comes with its own set of consequences. Especially in the arts, we have to be careful that we don't ignore ourselves, our own lives, and our own needs for the sake of overcoming difficult challenges. It's a very hard choice, and it's one that I'm still learning to make. Thank you again for tuning in, and see you in a few weeks.